Hello, welcome back to the Future Podcast.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Good to see you. We're all the gang's here. Does everyone want to say hello and who they are?
Hi, I'm Kazue.
Yeah, Luke here.
And I'm Izumi. Hi.
Great, and we're going to be discussing, our church and the Feast of the Church and having some good times together. So thank you so much for joining us. And if you've shared the podcast, we appreciate it. And all the comments.
Amazing.
It's so
Thank you.
encouraging. It's really fun to read the comments. Yep. And so whatever platform you're listening on, please jump in. And today we're going to be talking about a good topic.
I'm pumped for this.
We're going to be talking about celebrity, green rooms, and the man of God syndrome. The Gond syndrome.
Men of good. Some South Africa men of good.
My South African accent sometimes pops up. I apologize, or maybe you love it.
They love it. I've got feedback. They love it.
Oh no. So let's jump into this. This is a good one, an important one. So Luke, and Izumi, do people have to call you Pastor Luke and Izumi?
I usually like to be called Reverend.
Reverend.
It's a little higher than Pastor. That's usually what I like. No, for me, like I've never really cared about that. I don't really care. People can just call me Luke. That's my name. I like my name. Just call me Luke. To me, honor's never really been about the title. It's been about our relationship. Whether we honor each other, we'll get tested at some points in our relationship. It's not. I've seen lots of people honor people with titles, but really their hearts are far from that. So I really don't care what title people give me. So I'm happy for people to call me. Now Izumi is different. She likes to be called Pastor Izumi. So
That's not true. I like to be called Izumi, and in a culture like Japan, like we have a lot of honorific terms. I never liked people talking to me in honorific, polite language. I felt there's like a big barrier between us when they use that language. So I always said, call me Izumi, and in the city that we lived in, actually people felt more comfortable not using those honorific terms. But I never felt like they were like dishonoring or being rude. I felt so closer to them, and it was just all about relationships. Like they know that they trust me, and they're like, I don't need that extra language or extra reference to feel honored or respected. So
I love that about you. It's great.
Yeah. So the whole time we've been in this church, it's always been felt really close. It's more about heart, and it's important. So I guess we've titled this Celebrity Green Room, which maybe you all know. I had to explain what a green room was to my wife yesterday because she never knew what that was. And I guess that last one, man of God syndrome. Could you unpack that a little bit for us?
I guess it's just the gap between pastor and the let's just call them the average person. So the special pastor and the average person. Right. So closing that gap between the I guess you could say the coach and the players, or the person whose our job is to train people into releasing others into ministry. It's not to be a superstar, definitely not to be a superstar. And I guess I've just always pushed back against that. Sometimes people want you to be perfect as a pastor, and we've always pushed back against that. We are not trying to be perfect. We're not trying to project perfectness. I'm definitely not trying to be a celebrity, meaning I'm celebrated more than other people. I'm just an average person following God. Yep. This is my position on the team, is to lead this church. But doesn't mean that I'm better than anybody else. I don't feel that I'm better than anybody else, or deserve more than other people. And I guess what we're talking about is closing that gap and saying, no, we want to honor everybody. I want to be honored because I want everyone to be honored. I don't want to be honored because I'm some special class of person. I've never felt like I'm a special class.
So I guess at Future Church, we're going to build a group of people where we honor everyone, of course we don't want to like dishonor people, but like the same as a pastor, the same as a new person that walks through the door, that they will have like the same sense of honor and
what does honor really mean?
Right.
I don't know. You got any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I guess other words come up like respect and honor. I guess there's different levels there. I honor you because you can speak into my life as well, and I want to listen to that. But I mean, when a new person I honor them as well. And it all comes down to what God says about us as human beings. And I don't know if you want to talk about that, but like how we're all made in the image of God.
Right.
On such a fundamental level, we are all equal. Like people aren't better than other people. And like that is such a huge Bible concept.
Yeah, it is.
And that we take for granted.
It's a uniquely Bible concept.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And we think it's normal now.
Yeah.
And even people that don't believe in God or Jesus, they believe this is a really important concept, that all people are equal in theory. But I think us as Christians, I think we really need to look at people and act that out in a real way.
So if you look at Genesis and Exodus, where Moses was from, where Moses grew up in a culture where the king went around saying, I am the image of God. And what surrounded the Jews was that culture. In every culture, it was the king represented God and he represented God to the people. You could literally say it was man of God syndrome.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Moses comes in, writes Genesis chapter 1, Genesis chapter 2, and he brings in this revolutionary idea. And the idea is simple, and that is that, no, we are all created in the image of God. Meaning we are all reflections and all carry the worth that God has put on each and every single one of us. We are all ambassadors for the kingdom of God. It's a total revolutionary idea that you just hear it right now and you think, oh, that's normal. It's not normal. It wasn't normal. It was never going to be normal. It was only God's intervention that actually made it normal. And I think we, sometimes as human nature, and this is quite evident, we go away from that.
Sure.
People want power. They want to have, we've seen that corruption happen in institutions all over the world. I think we've got to continually push back on that, resist that. I am not better than other people. Every person carries the image of God. Treat everybody with respect. Love people. And the word honor simply means to give weight to something or think it's important.
Right.
So
that's the actual definition.
The actual definition is to give weight. So if I don't think that Kazue is important, why would I listen to you?
Yeah.
And that's really cutting me off from the wisdom that she can put into my life. How silly is that, right?
Sure.
So if we have a church full of dishonor, what it means is nobody's receiving anything.
Yeah.
How sad is that? But if we've got a culture where we honor everybody, man, I'm just receiving. I've got all these very important people around me. Everyone's important and everyone's able to sow into my life. Like how good is that? But it's just a difference in, do I honor people or do I treat them as average and unimportant? And I think if you the only reason that I want honor from you is I don't need it. So I'm happy. Okay? Your honor's not making me happy. What your honor for me does is it helps me to be able to speak good things and to help you in your faith and in your relationship with God. It helps you be open to receive the good things that God wants to do in your life through me.
Yeah.
That's a blessing. God has put me in your life to be a blessing to you. But if you don't think that I'm important, why would you receive anything from me? So, and that's the same vice versa.
Sure.
So I think honor is just a really important thing, but maybe for not the reasons that we thought it was.
Right. Yeah. What was your experience, Kazue, coming into church as a 20-something-year-old for the first time? And like maybe coming from a culture, like Japanese culture is awesome, but it is honor kind of demanded. It's not a heart honor. It's like using your words. It's all fluffy. And inside, I can't speak for everyone, but inside sometimes people don't feel honor, but they say the right words. But what was your experience maybe coming into church? And
I guess Izumi already mentioned, but in Japanese, we have honorific terms, and sometimes you feel like you're superficial because you're always using like those honorific terms to strangers or like your bosses or teachers, someone who you look up to, but you feel like far away, like Izumi was saying, you feel there's a barrier. But then when I stepped into church, Luke and Izumi was leading, and they were like, we still had like respect and honor towards them, but like like people were, I don't know, you feel more close and friendly, and like Luke was saying, you can speak into their lives as well. And like I think it was such a relief for a Japanese person to, I don't know, to have that relationship.
Right.
And I felt that like God is the same. Like we respect God, and in the Bible it says God is our friend and our father, but he's still like he's still someone who you look up to and you respect. So I got a different, I don't know, concept about respect and honor.
Right.
Yeah. I love that.
That's cool.
That's
Very
really
cool.
cool. Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you felt that. Because we wanted people to feel that. You know. Love this scripture in 1 Peter, chapter 5, verse 4 and 5 in the Message. Talks about when God, who's the best shepherd of all, comes out in the open with his rule. You'll see that he's done right and he's lavish towards you. And then it says, and you who are younger must follow your leaders, but all of you, leaders and followers alike, are to be down to earth with each other. For God has had it with the proud, but he takes delight in just plain people. And I love that thought of being down to earth with people. Don't think that you're better than other people. Don't think that you're up here and someone else is down there. Or, you know, be transactional where if you can do something good for me, then I'll love you. But if you can't do something good for me, I have no time for you. Right. That kind of stuff is very anti-Australian culture in general. But I think it's also very anti-Bible culture. And we can never allow that to come in the church where we have classes of people. No, we're all on the same page here. We all have different, you know, roles God's given us, different things to do in the church. Great. And some of those things are pretty tough, to be honest. Sure. Being a pastor is not easy. So I appreciate the support. I really do. But I don't need to be treated as someone who's better than other people for my own ego. I just don't need it.
Yeah, so I guess like that flows down from what we do and whoever's part of our team right now, like how we're going to set the tone. And like it's not about what you can do for me, that whole transactional thing, because that's so human nature. Right. Like, what do I get out of this? But like how we can be, how can I do something for you and treat them? And that starts right now, treating everybody with honor and like, taking a bit of time. And
that's the generous heart, isn't it?
Yes.
That's generosity. It's not all about me.
Yeah.
It's about what can I freely give that I freely received. Yeah,
and I love what like Andy Stanley always says about this, but he always talks about how like do for one what you would love to do for many.
Right. Yeah, I love that
concept because that's something. I can definitely help. Of course, I want to help everyone, but if that's kind of overwhelming, but I can definitely help one person today. Yeah. Or this Sunday, I can go welcome one person into church.
There is some pressure on pastors to be really good, especially let's talk about preaching just for a second. Preaching, there's sometimes a lot of pressure on preaching to be kind of everything to people, right? It better be good.
Yeah.
And people got their scorecards out and 9 out of 10 this week.
I guess you can compare it to all the best preachers that week that you listen to online.
Yeah, I guess how do you guys feel about that, about the expectation for preaching, and does it need to be perfect? Is that the only way that church is going to grow? And there seems to be a high pressure on that. So you guys got any thoughts on that?
Sure.
I guess like if you come to church and you expect that you receive something, and if it's all about you, then maybe preaching is one of the biggest thing that you really seek for when you come to church. But church is not really just for you yourself to receive and like fulfilled. For me, I think church is for new people to meet Jesus. So that's the place for new people to experience God. So
that's that evangelistic heart right there. I love that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So then preaching is not really, it's great. It's important. We love it. But yeah, I guess you don't have to score.
I guess what you're saying is also if
Preaching.
you're coming in on Sunday and it's like, it's all about me. It's like, what can I receive? That's a high bar. It's like so self-focused. It's like, oh, I didn't get anything today, or like that didn't help me. But when you have eyes on the people around us, a bigger perspective, I guess. You're saying like, it does change.
And I guess if it's the only time you read the Bible is at church when the pastor reads it to you, then it better be amazing. Otherwise, you know, that's all you're getting this week. So, but I guess we've just tried to reverse that and flip that and say, no, everyone can have a relationship with God.
Yeah.
You can read your own Bible and we'll help you learn how. It's not as hard as you thought. We'll help you. You'll do it in community and we'll help you out. And you can come to church and the pastor, what we preaching is a bonus and helpful and may bring direction and may bring new aspects that you haven't thought of before and some different things, but it's not everything because you've got your own relationship with God.
Yeah.
And I feel like that model is just so much stronger going forwards, where it's not based on my preaching. It's church is not living or dying on just a few words that I give on Sunday or you give on Sunday, whoever. But it's really teaching people how to have their own relationship with God daily, reading the Bible, receiving that from God, and then coming to church ready, maybe even to give something, not just to receive. Coming into Sunday like a into a desert, a pond in a desert,
dry and so
right.
thirsty.
I think you had humbling experience yourself many times. That,
Go on,
you know, like
Tell us more.
the real stories.
At baptisms or when someone received Jesus, we hear like what made them like come to Christ. I mean, like receive Jesus, and then most of the time it's the preaching itself is kind of like not the main thing. Like they say, actually I don't really remember what the pastor was preaching that day, but I felt good or I felt something different. I love the atmosphere. I think that's kind of humbling, as like it's not all about your preaching that, like it does help, but in our experience most of the time it wasn't the preaching itself, but it was like the whole package.
Yeah.
And mainly it's like how we treat each other or how they felt as a new person, like just the first impression. And then they'll come to the preaching later, but that's not the main thing. So, but I think it is humbling if you're a preacher to hear that, I think, because you think you want, I don't preach every week or anything, but like you kind of want your preaching to be like, like.
Well, we think, my preaching is going to change the world. It probably won't. This one message is not going to change the world. Like I think it's, we see preaching as kind of building blocks.
Yes.
Step by step.
Brick by brick.
Brick by brick. To help people, to help build things into people's lives. But really, like Izumi's saying, most of the people who got baptized in the church were really people who came into community and had someone sit down with them, walk them through how to read the Bible, taught them how to have a relationship with God, helped them answer their questions. Preaching helped with that. Worship helped with that. Hangouts and community helped with that. It all helped. But it's not all about my message. Wasn't the one. And which makes it, honestly, a joy to preach.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a joy to preach. I love preaching because I don't have that pressure. So we can say,
Actually, I remember like many cases that you preached a message, but most of the time the engagement after the message, like you preached, but you didn't just leave the room and say goodbye. Like you actually talked to the person, made them ask you questions, and that engagement kind of really led them to.
Well, we didn't go to our green room after that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you really treasure that time of like talking to that person after preaching.
Right.
You just didn't suddenly rush out, and that led to their decision sometimes. Like that extra step, and I thought that's what I liked.
Right. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. So how would you rate Luke's preaching? Is it out of 10?
Out of 10.
Depends on the
Depends on the message. That's probably a true answer.
That's probably true. That's probably true. Well, if we look at Ephesians chapter 4, it really is the Bible outline of my pastor's job description. He's appointed, it says in verse 11, he's appointed some to be apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, teachers, and their calling is to nurture and prepare all the holy believers to do their own work of ministry. Not to do the ministry, guys.
Right.
It's actually to help other people do ministry. This is God's kingdom. This is how God works. It's not through just a couple of people. It's through the church. God wants to work through the church. This is why Dream Team is so important, because we want people to come in and learn how to have a heart to give out to others, to focus on others, to create space for others. And it talks about building people up and helping them enlarge, helping them get mature. That's my job. Help you grow up, get strong in your faith, and actually start doing ministry with other people.
Can we talk a little bit about maybe being in the bubble, how to burst the bubble, and maybe creating like a feedback culture?
Yeah.
Because I think we don't want to just like talk about the green room culture, but like how do we build something that doesn't have that? That's our goal, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all talk until it happens. But what are some things we're going to do? And one of those is good feedback.
Yeah.
How does that work?
I think just before I get into that, I think there's one good thing that you need to do for all pastors. We need to keep meeting people who don't know Jesus.
Yeah.
Right.
And we need to keep on talking to people who are going through difficult things. It connects us to reality. It's very easy to get into a bubble where all your friends are great, happy, you're happy. This is just my zone now. This is it.
Yeah.
But you forget that actually there's a lot of people going through difficult stuff. And if you're not talking to people who are going through difficult things, it's very, very easy to get judgmental.
Right.
And start critiquing things when you don't have to walk through difficult things with people. So I think it's really important that we keep working with people, and people who don't know Jesus to challenge your assumptions.
Definitely.
Also, maybe in a good way. Actually, you realize, wow, people are really open. So feedback is really important, super important. We take it really seriously because having a feedback culture is so helpful. Something I really tried to create is a feedback culture where, I think in a lot of places you just don't know where you stand with people.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm doing a good job, a bad job, indifferent. I don't even know.
And then you get a sudden buke, and then you're like,
right?
Then your world is shaking, like, this whole time.
Right. Okay. So that's not healthy. But
sure,
if we can give a steady flow of feedback, this is doing great. This is where we can improve. It's really helpful. So we always try to do that to other people as pastors. I see that it's kind of like a coaching role. You want to give people a lot of feedback, which is they're really thankful for. But here's what I don't see very often is pastors don't get feedback.
Right.
Leaders don't get feedback. It's very much one-way street.
Sure, top down.
It's very much top down. And so that really worked with the boomers generation. It was very much a top-down leadership model.
The CEO.
Yeah, but that model is not what the next generation lives like. It's very collaborative, and they think much more about team than they do about the man. They're thinking more about us and team together, which is much more healthy, I feel like. Not that it's all perfect. They're going to have challenges too. Every generation does. But I feel like it's going to be much more healthy. So I would like to create a really healthy culture where I can give feedback to you, and also you can give feedback to me about how it's going.
Right.
Like, when was the last time a pastor got feedback on their preaching? Like, what's connecting, what's really not connecting?
Sure.
You'll never know.
Yeah.
You'll just have to guess and pray about it and pretend everything's great. But or people will leave, maybe. That's how you get feedback.
Right.
But imagine if right before that you actually got feedback. So we've actually built this into our app where you can give feedback to the church. New people's experiences, they can give feedback. We can do live polls about what people are getting, what they're not getting.
Yeah, that's cool.
We've built feedback into the course function where you can actually ask questions and maybe even share, some things that you have a different perspective on. I think it's really helpful. We need to hear it. We don't want to hear it. I don't, honestly, Tim, to be honest, I don't want to hear it. Naturally. I don't want the negative feedback. Or it's not negative. It's just like, this is not working.
Sure.
I don't want to hear that.
You've tried to put your heart out there and it didn't work. It's never fun.
But I need it.
Sure. I think, I guess the heart of feedback is huge because I think there's two different types. There's feedback where that's just criticism. That's just like, I want to have a go.
Yeah.
I don't like this, but I don't really.
Let me tell you my opinion.
And whatever, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. But there's also the heart where I really love this church, or I really love this thing, this group, this whatever. And that's the feel we need to listen to. They have a heart for us. Right. But if we shut that out as pastors, that's really dangerous, even if it hurts. Yeah. So just figuring out a way. Yeah. How can we listen to that people that, because the people that love you.
Yeah, Netflix calls it give feedback with good intent, meaning you want to make things better and you want to help the person. You have a heart, you love that person, so you want to give feedback. If you don't love me, then there's, you're just trying to bring me down, then, we're probably going to brush that off. But there's people around in our church that really love us, love you, that they want to give good feedback to help you to be better at helping other people. And, that's really helpful. And I think we've got to be humble enough to receive that and even invite that. Often I said to our team in churches that we've led before is, in basically every talk that we gave, because it was so hierarchical here in Japan, we had to say to people all the time, is there any disagreements? Yeah. I'd love to hear it. Is there any comments, feedbacks, disagreements? Please speak up and let's talk about it through. And creating an open culture where you can actually say, I'm not sure about that. I think maybe you're missing it a little bit here on this. Right. Is that okay? Yes, it's okay. That's what I need. Do you think that I have all the answers? Do you think that I know everything? No, I don't. And if really, I used to say to our young leaders all the time, you're at this table for a reason. Because you've got a voice. We want you to speak up. We want you to say what you think. And to me, loyalty always means tell me what you really think. It doesn't mean agree with me. It means tell me what you really think. It means love me enough to tell me what you think while we're in the room. And when we walk outside, we've got to work together. We've got to get this thing moving. We don't have time to be going in 10 different directions. But while we're here, while we're discussing it, while it's on the table, tell me what you think. Yeah, sure. Don't hold back. You don't have to be afraid of getting in trouble for telling us what you really think. If you're in the room, you're in the room for a reason. So I think it's really important.
Yeah. So how was that for you guys? Tell us what you think. You guys have been very quiet.
Any disagreements with that?
Agreeing there. But what was it like jumping into that kind of leadership structure? I know Kazue's current job is also great as well, but maybe church was the first experience of that. But of like being able to give feedback. I don't know, how did that, is that a different world? Was that difficult, like a difficult process?
Sorry, I was just thinking something else, but sorry.
That's right, I'll get feedback about this later.
That wasn't a very good question, Tim. I love you, but the question was a little off.
You're a great question asker, but now I'm just thinking, I love how the Kennedys are also doing a family meeting, and then where kids can also give feedback. Because they're also like the members of the house. And church is the same. I guess if you think this is Luke and Izumi's church, maybe you don't have a chance to give feedback. But if you think this is my church as well, then like you have a voice, and they're creating a culture where, like Luke was saying, that you're part of this and you have a voice to make it better because this is also your house. And like I love what you're doing in your family meeting.
Thanks. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in a family meeting, we give our kids opportunity to give us feedback as parents. Because
Sounds like
Scary.
fun.
They have plenty. They have plenty of feedback.
at first it wasn't easy. It was easy to. It's kind of humbling to hear, like, "Mommy, I wish you did this more," or like I.
Right.
But we say encouragement first. Of course, we start off with encouragement.
The old hamburger. Nice.
What's being good and what are they enjoying?
Yeah.
But then the challenge part comes, and every time I have to think, yep, here it comes.
Well, what we do is we say, okay, let's go around the room. We're going to encourage every person. So everyone's going to encourage every person. And then we say, if you would like to see them grow in one area, what would it be?
Okay,
It's like a challenge, like a good challenge.
Good challenge,
I'm going to challenge you to have a better attitude in the morning when you wake up or whatever it is. And everyone gets challenges from everyone.
Right.
And the kids get very excited about it.
What are some of the toughest challenges they're giving you?
I think don't get angry at me, maybe.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, I think
or things like
listen
that.
to me. Like,
Listen to
can you
me.
listen to me more?
Right.
But I like that they
Tough to
feel
hear.
safe enough to speak up, because we don't want a household that they can't say anything to us, and just like bottle up inside them, and
Just explode.
Well, we just fast forwarding. We're thinking when they're teenagers, if they don't have an open dialogue with us, they're going to go to other places.
Yeah.
Right.
And I want to have the biggest voice in my kid's life for the longest reason possible, even if that's just, later on in life with friendship and what have you. But I want them to come and tell me what they really think about things, and keep that fight to keep that dialogue open with the kids. So
and kind of similar to church, like I try not to appear perfect in front of my kids. I'm not always right. I make mistakes, and then I'm okay to say sorry to them sometimes.
I've said sorry to so many people.
So
many in church.
Yeah, so even
I'm
in
sorry,
church,
that was wrong. I stuffed that up. People are so forgiving when you say sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta change. Keep doing the same thing over and over. But I remember saying to people, I think that was just too black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is my brain, a bit black and white sometimes.
Right.
That was too much. I'm sorry. I should have just thought that through more or whatever. And they're just like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Like, thanks for coming and talking to me. It's like, we'll do better. Like, I love. To me, that's like what a household is.
Yeah. I love that.
So why do you think like some pastors or leaders take feedback as like a bit offensive, or I don't know, like can't take feedback? I don't know.
Well, I guess why it would hurt me.
As Luke said, it's human nature. Not you don't really want to. It's really tough hearing.
I don't think anyone wants it, but you need it.
Yeah.
It's tough to hear when you're falling short, especially when you're trying hard.
Yeah.
It's tough to hear.
I think like we say, you feel loyal when people give you feedback, right?
I feel like people are really loyal when they tell me what they think.
Yeah, but I think some people feel loyal when they like just agree like what you say.
You got like a yes man
That's a
culture.
really good point.
Like yes, Luke, whatever you want, Luke. To me, it's just like I start feeling weird. Like maybe that person's going to get really resentful sometime.
Yes, Luke, that's right.
You're too agreeable, Tim. And some people have an agreeable personality and can be bullied into doing stuff, and I'm just pretty aware of that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and helping people, get strength and get your own thoughts, get your own convictions, and add them to the team. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I'm super agreeable. You can convince me of anything, like a salesman. I'm just like, oh yeah, and then I walk away and go, what? Think about it for a second.
Why did I buy those 3 cars?
What's wrong with me? No, but you're right. No, that's really good. Great. Well, thank you so much. Great discussion. I think there's so much more we want to talk about, actually.
And we wrote a chapter in the book on this.
Yes.
And it goes a lot deeper into some of these concepts and some more concepts that we want to implement. So
for sure. So please check out the book. Maybe one day we'll do an audio book with just Kazue reading it to us. Just to it's a goal.
In a great British voice.
Never mind.
Calming voice.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate you guys.
And we got interest meetings still happening, so please check out our website as well as team nights, like team as we building towards our launch day.
Pumped, man.
So if you are interested, send us a message. We will reply to you. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye.